Hello and welcome to Living Creative with Pixie Princess. Have you ever seen these in the craft stores and wonder what do you do with these? Well, this is a knitting loom and you knit on it. Instead of using two needles, you use a loom and a pick tool. And you can make so many beautiful things. I have some tutorials where I've made hats and scarves and a couple of plastic bag holders, and that was a lot of fun. So if you want to learn how to knit on a knitting loom, stay tuned for this short video and I will show you just the basic stitches that you need that you can make many different projects. So stay tuned. Okay, so today I'm just going to show you some of the basic loom knitting stitches. I do loom knit left-handed. The good thing about a loom is you can loom left-handed, right-handed, it doesn't matter. Sometimes I can pick it up and use my right hand. The main thing to consider is the gauge of your loom. Make sure you're using the proper yarn for the gauge. Most looms are large gauge, and it takes a 5 or a 6 bulky yarn. You can also double up on like a worsted weight 4 and it would work great. But today I'm just using this, this is a Bernat blanket yarn and it's a chunky, I want to say it's a 6. So as always, the slip knot always begins. So I just do mine like this. I lay the tail across my fingers. I take the working yarn, I cross it behind. I made a little cross, and then I put that yarn between these two fingers, and then I pull the tail, and I have a little slip knot. And then I put that slip knot on my anchor peg. Now, not all looms have an anchor peg, and if yours don't, you can always put this on your starting peg. And just ignore the marks on my loom. I had these marked for a different project, but you can also put it on the beginning loom. But I like to use the anchor peg. So whatever you have available, if you have an anchor peg, I suggest using it, but you don't have to. You can use the first one. So some of the stitches you have to cast on, and then there's different stitches. So let's just do about 5 or 6. So I'm going to wrap, and you're just going to wrap the pegs to start with. Wrap. Okay, I just wrapped a few just to get us started here. So I'm just going to go back. And this is called an E-wrap. And it's called an E-wrap because it resembles a little cursive E. All right, so this is the loom knit stitch, the E-wrap stitch. That's taking that bottom loop over the top. And you've wrapped these with little E's. And so you just knit them over, taking the bottom loop over the top. And both loops have been wrapped around in the shape of an E. Okay, now that's a very loose knit stitch. I mean, not very loose, but it's looser. It's a bigger one, and it's going to make a bigger stitch. So let's say you want to make a smaller stitch. You can do what they call a U-wrap. You go behind your peg and you just half wrap it, which makes a little U. So you half wrap it, you hold the yarn, and then you take the bottom loop over the top. And you do that again. It's a little more difficult. You have to hold your yarn. So I just kind of hold it behind. Can you see what I did? And you knit up. Okay, now That's a little bit smaller and a tighter stitch. Okay, you want a super tight one. Just you go into the front. Don't go behind. Go in front and half wrap it. Or you can do a flat knit, which is even smaller. Go in front. Just lay it across there. Don't wrap it. And then knit. So those are your basic knit stitches. So I'm going to go back to the beginning so I can show you a purl stitch. And the purl is always the same. You have different knit stitches, but there's only one way to do a purl. So I'm just knitting these off to show you. So for a purl, you have your stitch wrapped around your peg already. So what you're going to do is lay your working yarn in front below. Like you were going to do a flat knit, but you're doing it below. You take your pick, insert it in the top of the loop that's on the peg, and then you scoop up a loop from the working yarn. So you've made a new loop. Now you're going to take the existing loop off of the peg, put the new loop on, pull the yarn to tighten. So do that again. You go from the top, lay your working yarn across, with the pick, scoop up a new loop with the working yarn. You're going to take that existing loop off of the peg, put this new loop back on, pull your working yarn to tighten. Let's do that one more time. From the top, scoop up a loop from the working yarn, take the existing loop off, put the new loop on, pull the yarn to tighten. So you have learned how to do an E-wrap, a U-wrap, and a flat stitch, and a purl stitch. So if you can do these stitches, you can pretty much make any project on your loom. So stay tuned for more loom knitting videos, and until the next one, God bless.